Coins alert is used to summarize everything that is said in this movie. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to my station to get more XRP news and news about cryptocurrencies in general. Look at this now. If Gensler quits, the SEC can still appeal. What do Form C and Jan 15 mean for the case? Before we go any further, there is a new crypto airdrop going on Telegram right now. It will start on November 28th. Make sure that you take part in this airdrop. Just below the movie, there is a link. Do not miss this. Let's watch more of our movie. John Deaton, Jeremy Hogan, and James Murphy are lawyers who support XRP. They talked at length about Ripple in the case. After Donald Trump won the election, there were reports on the internet that SC Chair Gary Gensler would be leaving. This article explains the changes that have been made to the appeals process. What does Form C mean? Jeremy talked about Form C applications. This is about the SEC's appeal of the Ripple case. This form keeps track of appeals and asks the CC to describe the case, why they disagree with the decision, and what they want to be changed. What does SE want? The SEC mostly uses programmatic sales decisions. The court says that selling XRP on an exchange is not the same as buying or selling assets. The CC disagrees. They are also fighting charges of individual defendant participation in aiding and abetting. They are not appealing the disgorgement decision, which came as a surprise. Why does it matter? This appeal is important because the court's decision could have an impact on future cases involving digital assets like XRP. If the SEC wins, exchanges may not be able to sell as much cryptocurrency. Everyone is waiting for the case to end. Deaton talked about how the election for President of the United States might affect the SEC vs. Ripple case. He said that the appeal might not have worked if Vice President Harris had won because the Electoral College could have changed. But Jeremy said this is just a guess, the big problem that nobody wants to talk about. Jeremy says that if Donald Trump wins again, there will be a change in administration. In that case, the CC's argument might be different. He made a joke about how hard it would be for an SEC lawyer working on the case. Now that we know that new leadership may stop the process in January, that lawyer might be putting in a lot of work on a brief, only to find out on January 15th that the appeal doesn't matter. The most recent plea came from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission (CC) earlier this month. In the ongoing court battle, Ripple filed a cross-appeal on October 10th, 2024. Because of this cross-appeal, both the SEC and Ripple's challenges will now be looked at together in a single case. Ripple is appealing the court's decision. Ripple wants the court to change its mind about saying that no securities laws were broken when XRP was sold to investors. The other reason for this is the court ruling that said Ripple had to pay $125 million to investors for selling them XRP. This amount is still a lot more than Ripple's $10 million offer, but it's a lot less than the SEC's previous demand of $2 billion. Is it possible for Ripple to beat the SEC? In the middle of all of this, Stuart Alderety, who is the chief legal officer at Ripple, wrote something on X that got a lot of attention from people in the cryptocurrency world. In a post on X, Alderety said that the SEC lost on every important point, which may be why it filed its most recent appeal. Just filed a cross-appeal to make sure they have covered every possible issue in their legal fight with the US SEC. Alderety says that the CC could say that selling XRP on exchanges and paying developers and workers with it are both securities. Based on the previous court decision, he is sure that Ripple will win the case again, and he thinks that the court will reject the SEC's latest plans, especially those led by SEC Chair Gary Gensler. What CEO Brad Garlinghouse thinks about it in light. In spite of all of this, Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, said that the USX is only trying to cause problems and confusion instead of setting clear rules for the cryptocurrency sector. He then said, "We're looking forward to deciding what will happen with the SEC and ending the CC's plan to regulate by enforcement with our cross-appeal today. What is the answer? In simple terms, the Securities and Exchange Commission is a dishonest business. There is a threat to the business interests of affiliates of several top Securities and Exchange Commission workers. During their time at the SEC, these workers who had been advised by CU spread as much false positive regulatory clarity as possible about Bitcoin and Ethereum while brazenly spreading nothing but public uncertainty about Ripple and XRP. Chairman Clayton dropped the case and quit early on his last day on the job, which meant this kept going on until he left. There is a lot of video evidence of Vitalik Buterin committing the same crime, so Ethereum and their founder are at least as guilty as Ripple is. Top PC staff, on the other hand, said in public that Ethereum is not a security, stayed until the very end before leaving, and then dropped a case against Ripple because they weren't going to be there for the fight. However, I will give you a paper with all the bad information, but here are some of the most important points. When asked in public, Jay Clayton, chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission (SEC), has said more than once that the SEC does not speak on specific cryptocurrencies, even though he did the exact same thing in 2018 when, on his last day of work before leaving early, he unofficially said that Bitcoin was not a protection. He goes to court against Ripple and two of its owners for selling XRP as a security that hasn't been registered. Before this, Ripple had left XRP with nothing but doubt for years, even though Ripple worked with the SEC almost every week. Then he made the choice to quit the Securities and Exchange Commission and take a job with oneriver, a company that only manages Bitcoin and Ethereum. On his last day in office, he decided to drop the biggest cryptocurrency case in the SEC's history. This move is at best unpopular. Hyman, who is in charge of the Securities and Exchange Commission's division of corporation finance. The things that Bill did were amazing. For crying out loud, Hyman used to work at Simpson Thacher, a law company that has a lot of ties to Ethereum and a big interest in it. These people are on the board of directors for the Ethereum Alliance. Hyman has now joined the SEC because of this. Simpson Thacher, the company he used to work for when he was with the Securities and Exchange Commission, paid him more than $15 million. $15 billion during his time at the SEC. That's more than 7 times what he was paid. Then Hyman said that Ethereum is not a security in public, even though it was not part of his job at the SEC. This caused the price of Ethereum to rise at the time and ever since. After that, Hyman quits his job at the SEC and goes back to working as an actress right away. Being honest, it's very clear, and even people who work for the Securities and Exchange Commission have said that the payments Hyman received were very odd. Some might say that Mark Berger, who is working as the head of enforcement for the SECU, filed the case on Clayton's behalf, but that would be too mild. As soon as the case was turned in, Berger quickly followed Clayton and Hyman out of the building. You know where he went after that? Simpson Thacher is one of our partners. Please start the drum roll. As you might expect, the fact that Ripple is tearing the Securities and Exchange Commission apart is a good thing, especially since the SEC just filed a fake case. That being said, this doesn't make the whole thing any less disgusting. The information given is not meant to be taken as trade advice. Any purchases made based on the information on this page are not the responsibility of the people who made them. Before making any investment decisions, you should definitely do your own study and talk to a professional who knows what they're talking about.